Reaching for Research by Students for Students was created by the BIO5 Institute to introduce our experiences to undergraduate and high school students interested in working in research labs. Listen as our guests describe their path to STEM and their current work, so you too might join a lab and discover more within the world of science.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Reaching for Research by Students for Students. My name is Jordan Pilch, and I am a senior here at the University of Arizona studying microbiology and molecular and cellular biology, and I also work at the BIO5 Institute as a public affairs student assistant. Today, we welcome Amy Fan, a junior at the University of Arizona. Thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to give us a little bit of an introduction?
Yeah, so I am a junior studying molecular and cellular biology. I have interest in programming, and I finished a minor in stats recently. I am also studying, just random little fact, I'm also interested in music, so I have like a minor in music as well. That's stuff going on. And then I think in the future, in terms of like biology, scientist-y career stuff, I'm interested in hopefully becoming a bioinformatics engineer.
That's so cool. I didn't know about the statistics and the music minors.
Yeah, they're a little on the down low.
Down low, you're like sneakily, actually I can play music.
Just sneakily.
Just sneakily. It'll be great.
You gotta, yeah.
Alright, so I'm gonna ask our first question. What was your journey through STEM, and how did you get to your current research position?
Okay, so ever since high school, obviously, I've been very interested in science and STEM. It was kind of just the direction that I shunted myself into, and I discovered that I really liked it. Going to college, I didn't actually know what I wanted to major in, so
Did you come in undeclared?
Actually, I came in with a physiology major.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because University of Arizona has a really good physiology major. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one of the things that we have that ASU doesn't have.
You should come here instead of ASU.
So I did that, and then I took Dr. Ted Weinert's honors biology class, and I really enjoyed it, and I actually preceptored for him during the COVID fall semester, and I really enjoyed it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was very fun, and his class is kind of what made me decide, yeah, I'm going to switch from physiology to biology major.
I love that. How did you think about the difference between like being a student in that class versus being a preceptor?
Awesome. Both were awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so being a student in the class, I like to talk a lot, so I volunteered a lot, and so I answered a lot of questions. I got to know the professor, and I took one of his seminar classes afterwards, and I just really enjoy him as a professor. Like, he's such a great professor, guys. You can take him. He's great.
High recommendation for his class for biology. Go for it. And what research are you currently doing now?
So currently I'm doing research in the cellular and molecular medicine department studying cardiomyopathy. And
what is cardiomyopathy for those that don't know?
That's a good question. So, breaking it down, cardio is heart, myopathy is muscle disease.
Okay.
So it's like heart muscle disease.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's what I'm studying.
Awesome. You had mentioned prior to us starting that you were a part of UBURP.
Yes.
What is UBURP? How did you get involved with that?
UBURP, a weird name for a really cool internship. So I got into UBURP because so many people were like recommending it. They're like, this is such a great biology research program, and so I signed up for it, and they accepted me, thankfully. And it's basically a undergraduate biology research program. It pairs a student with like a mentor, and you kind of just work full time throughout the summer to get experience. Yeah,
and everything through it.
Yeah, and I also mentioned that there's a lot of like it's kind of an umbrella for a bunch of smaller little
sections,
subsections. Yeah. So there's like the Data Science Academy, which I got into, and it's kind of an interdisciplinary approach to biology. So
what is it interdisciplinary with?
Interdisciplinary with data science.
Data science, okay.
Yes.
I am an MCD person, and I don't know anything about data science, so how would you describe the combination of doing molecular biology research with data science?
The combination, I think as we go into the future, things are becoming more interdisciplinary as well as involving and integrating computer science and programming. So a lot of it is especially using R programming. It's a software. It's very popular in biostatistics.
Yeah.
And then,
what about it?
yeah, Python is another one. So those are kind of the two that I'm involved in currently.
Awesome, wonderful. What other obstacles have you kind of encountered in getting into research? You mentioned that you had really enjoyed STEM throughout high school and everything, and then when you came to the U of A, you wanted to do physio and then switched to MCB. Was there any obstacles or any feelings of doubt or uncertainty that you had to push against?
Oh, yeah.
I think that is a yes to that question.
That was a big yes. I really liked science, but I find that, like, coming in, I didn't know, like, what I wanted to do, and I just went for, like, physiology was the coolest thing that I thought of, and so I went that direction.
For those listening, about
physiology is great.
It's great. And about 1 in 3 students will change their major as well, just like Amy and just like myself, so do not feel stressed if you come in and you're like, I thought I liked this, turns out I don't.
Yeah, put your all into all of your classes so that you can realize what you really fit into. Yeah.
I definitely enjoy that. All right. So what are you doing in your current research? You said cardiomyopathy. What are you looking at in terms of it? What are you studying specifically within that subfield?
Subfield, yeah.
Can't English.
It's good language. So there's two projects that I'm currently working on. The first project that I'm working on is the older project. It's basically studying this mutation in a protein that causes a form of heart failure, cardiomyopathy. So I'm doing like time course treatments, treating it with this drug called cyclohexamide, which stops translation. This is going into the deep sciencey stuff. It's really cool, I promise. So basically, we're trying to see if this wild type protein, so the natural protein, is more stable or less stable than the mutated protein that has like a problem with the protein. So that's my first project. It's pretty cool.
Would you say that this is pretty early on, or would you say that this is more later in development and you're thinking of like using
cyclohexamide.
Cyclohexamide. I got the first part of it. Are you thinking of using cyclohexamide as kind of a drug to go through and treat this, or is it more just trying to see if you'll stabilize the protein of interest?
So that's a good question. It's mostly like a side project to see if the protein is more or less stable. It's not a treatment. It's kind of just to see, because we're actually looking into nonsense-mediated decay. So we're trying to see if this is the culprit or if it's like because the protein is less stable. So we're not using cyclohexamide. It's very toxic. It'll stop translation.
Let's not use that in humans then. What is the second project that you're working on?
The second project that I'm working on is the one that I'm actually assigned to in UBER. This one is basically RNA sequencing. So this is for, I guess another way to say it is trying to see what, so we're looking at 2 different groups. One group is the mutated group and one group is the wild type group. And we want to see our lab is targeting LMOD2, which is a specific protein that causes this disease pathology. So we're trying to see if what's upregulated, what's downregulated in the RNA, which is kind of like a template for genetic information. Just looking at how pathways are involved and gene pathways and stuff.
Wonderful.
And and one more thing.
Go right ahead.
I'm really excited about this.
It's good to be excited about your research. That's what you want.
It's a good sign. It's such into biology. So yes, and we want to see if we can recapitulate mice stuff with human stuff. So we're looking at RNA sequencing in mice and humans and seeing if the pathways that are upregulated and downregulated in the 2 different groups are similar. Then we can use mice
That's so cool.
cheaper model.
So how are you getting, I guess this is maybe a question that's like a little bit specific. How are you getting the human RNA? Is that something that's available at a website that you can just look at, or a data research, or is it like a human subject trial?
Yeah, it's more along, we have 3 babies, baby X, Y, and Z. We were lucky enough to actually have heart cells from these babies.
Oh my goodness.
I know, and blood cells as well. We actually don't use heart cells very often because they're so precious, but we use her blood. There's hims and hers, so their blood. And we create iPSC cells, which are induced pluripotent stem cells, and then we can convert those to cardiac cells.
Those are that's so cool. You're combining so many different fields all at once just to do this, like, is this protein different? There's so many steps.
It's so cool. Yeah, it's very complicated science. Like, I'm not even doing, like, I didn't design this, so I'm just, like, learning a lot from my PIs, and they're telling me all of, like, the well thought out processes that have to be involved to control data, and experimental design is very important.
That is definitely very important. And it's interesting that you bring up that even though you're working in the research lab and you're doing some of the work for this, you're not the only person who's working on this. Your PI, your mentor are going through and providing you with a sort of thought process for what you're doing. Yes. I'm a teacher by nature, so I'm like, learning opportunities. Let's go.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
So, outside of your work in STEM, which we've talked about quite a bit, what are your other passions? You mentioned music minor.
Yeah, music minor is great. I actually like a lot of different types of music. People are surprised at how much classical music I listen to. Beethoven is bomb. So,
casual opinion, Beethoven, great. Not a lot of people have heard of him.
He's an underground artist.
This wonderful, wonderful musician nobody has ever heard of.
Definitely.
What other types of music are you into?
I'm interested in, like, indie music,
What's your favorite indie band?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. There's so many. I feel like, Rna is really good.
Okay. I've not heard of her. I'll have to look her up.
She's pretty good.
I think that'll be good. My favorite indie band, I don't know whether or not they count as indie still, but is Young the Giant, because I'm more like pop rock.
You know, that's
it's like border, you know?
No, that's good.
Okay. What other things are... It's acceptable. You're indie enough to stay here.
Yeah, you're good.
What other things are you into outside of STEM?
So I'm training for a triathlon with my friend.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I actually used to be a long distance track sprinter in high school, and I still really like to run.
Okay.
So yeah, my friend Maya is really great. Shout out to Maya.
Shout out to Maya. When are you trying to be trained by? Are you
October 2nd. We're doing the Mighty Moo Hair Triathlon in Tucson.
That's gonna be so cool. Thankfully it's in October, so it's not gonna be like 1,000,000 degrees outside.
We won't melt outside.
It's so hot. Right now it's actually pretty humid instead of hot. It's an interesting development.
You know, it's cool at least. It was the other day was like warm and humid, and it was
not fun. All right, we're on to our last question.
Yes.
What advice would you give to your 16-year-old self, and what advice would you give to somebody who's wanting to join research?
Okay, so I can give myself 2 pieces of advice, one related to research and one related to life. Excuse me.
Okay.
So, the one related to research and just career in general is that, it's okay that you don't know what you're doing yet. It's actually good that you don't know what you're doing. It means that you're not just accepting what people are pushing in front of your plate. And to put your all into everything and just be open. And that helps in everything.
Yeah.
So
what areas of your life, research, other areas have you used this advice, or where did you learn this from?
I found that if I used to not be like this, and a lot of big life-changing events forced me to kind of switch my perspective, and I found it very helpful. But yeah, and then what was the other piece of advice? No, I think I wrapped both pieces of advice.
You did it all in one nice bow, tied it together. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Reaching for Research by students, for students, and thank you again, Amy, for joining us and talking to everybody.
It's been great.
It's been so much fun. We will have the link to UBurp in the description somewhere.
Wonderful rest of your day, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Reaching for Research by students, for students. Today, you heard Amy talk about the Undergraduate Biology Research Program, or UBurp, here at the University of Arizona. That, plus a link to the University of Arizona Undergraduate Research page, are both provided in the description down below. We can't wait to see where you go in research.